So that fight turned out not to be close indeed. Not necessarily in the way I thought, but yeah. Sean O'Malley managed to put down Aljamain Sterling in the second round, absolutely walloping him with a beautiful counter right hand, very reminiscent of Conor McGregor's knockout of Jose Aldo back in the day. And I was watching this fight with my dog, and the second round started, and Sean O'Malley had slipped trying to throw whatever kick he was trying to throw, and Aljo promptly pounced on him and put him against the cage. And when Sean O'Malley stopped that takedown, I looked at my dog and I said, oh. I was very interested to see what was going to happen moving forward after he stopped that initial takedown from Aljo. But there was only like 25 seconds left of fight after that, so ain't really too much to say about the fight, to be honest. First round was just a distant striking match between the two. Aljo kept it real conservative until probably about the last 25 seconds of the round when he really got more aggressive and pushed O'Malley up against the fence. No takedown attempts, just a lot of clinch work. And we already did talk about that, like 1 minute of action in the second round. Somebody finally made Aljo pay for some of his very sloppy entries. And O'Malley probably is the only person in the division that could get that done due to his timing and precision. When Aljo blitzes in, he commits pretty hard to it, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes without even throwing any strikes. And he will really overextend himself just with how he lunges in. Hands down, chin held high. And O'Malley wasn't having none of that, he put him down. And just like I did think before the fight started, the fight was going to end within the first real exchange or two. And there weren't any real exchanges in that first round, so when it came to it in the second round, the fight promptly ended. Again, it just ain't go the way I thought it was. I also want to shout out Aljo for his Octagon interview right after the loss. He was extremely humble in defeat and very honest about his future, essentially saying that if O'Malley put him down like that, Volk would absolutely murder him. And you can't really do nothing but respect the honesty. Over the past few years, Aljo has really played into this villain role that the masses have given him. But all that aside, he do be shown to be a really good, humble, gracious guy. And I can't do nothing but respect that. Now, what happens in the division moving forward is extremely interesting. Because I did see in his post-fight interview that Aljo said that he do want an immediate rematch. And in my opinion, he's done more than enough to be granted that wish. But at the same time, it's been well documented that Dana White is not the biggest fan of Aljamain Sterling. So I could easily see something funny happening, him not getting that immediate shot. Or maybe something health-related might pop up, I don't know. That should be the answer though. But if not, the next logical guideline should surely be Marab. And that is an absolutely disgusting matchup for Sean O'Malley. I hate it. But knowing how the UFC gets sometimes, also combined with the fact that at the present moment, Sean O'Malley is a superstar and one of Dana's favorites, I could easily see him getting to pick what he want to do next. And if that's the case, it's inevitable. Whether we think it makes sense or not, the Chito rematch is on the horizon. It makes a lot of sense just from a story perspective, being that Chito is the only person to have beaten O'Malley, But that's about it. Chito just beat Pedro Munoz. And you getting the title shot? I mean, we have seen weirder things happen. I'm just throwing it out there that is a very likely outcome out of all of this. Moving on to Zhang Weili's absolute demolition of Amanda Lemos. This fight went exactly how I thought it would in every possible aspect. I ain't gonna front. Weili definitely held the advantages in close striking range as well as the clinch and obviously in the wrestling. But at distance is where Lemos was putting her best foot forward, landing some clean strikes on Weili until the fifth round where she got absolutely clocked by a naked straight from Weili. Relatively easy win for her. Definitely some dicey moments in there, specifically that first round submission attempt, but other than that, she handled it pretty easily. Then to quickly speak on some other things, Ian Gary absolutely dominated Neil Magny. Wasn't even really a lot of resistance off of bat from Neil Magny since his lead leg was cooked from the beginning of the fight for real. But a good performance from Ian Gary nonetheless, I ain't gonna lie. Personally, I am a little disappointed he couldn't get the stoppage on a one-legged man. But Neil Magny did do well to protect himself, specifically to the head, even after all that leg damage. Gary called out Wonder Boy after the fight. I absolutely love that matchup and everything that it stands for. Hopefully it can get done. As I did allude to earlier, Chito handled Pedro Munoz relatively easily, I ain't gonna lie. Really just doing what he do best. Slick defense, good range fighting. That jab was an absolute piston. I loved it. Commentators were absolutely pissing me off though. It's like a lot of the times they don't even be watching what's actually happening in the fight for real. They just be saying stuff. I'm mainly talking about how they kept mentioning that Cheeto was slower starter in that first round, even though he was putting in the better work. It is what it is, though. Cool card, though. It was alright. It was a lot of decisions. Good performances, even though they were decisions, until Sean O'Malley did come and completely steal the show. I ain't gonna lie, man. Regardless of how long his title run reign right now, in the present moment, he is an absolute megastar, and the UFC gonna try and push him to oblivion.